hour is here.
Check it out.
And you're locked on to Utah's highest rated, most listened to sports radio station.
It's my station. It's my station.
This is Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey, let's get it, folks. Hans and Scotty, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Our guy Hans remains on vacation. We'll get him back on Monday. Joining us now, though, back in studio. We're live here at RGS Exteriors. We'll talk to Tim and the crew here in just a moment. But Jake Scott hanging out with us. Jake, how you doing?
I'm great, Scotty. I'm happy to be here, and I'm also happy to not hear Hans talking about looking out and doing the show on the beach.
Yeah, he likes to rub that in a little bit.
He does?
And I'll admit, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to turn into a warm weather guy. Like, I was always, you know what, like, we used to keep that studio at a frigid like 35 degrees back at the old place.
We did.
And now I don't know if it's an age thing or what, but like, I am cold all the time. And last week when I was in Tampa, I'm like, I get it now. I totally understand why people move to St. George or they move to Florida or, like I totally get it now. It makes perfect sense to me.
Maybe you're getting soft in your old age, Scott. You remember when Kevin Graham moved back here from Phoenix, like the last time he moved back here, that winter was just crazy. He moved right back here just in time for winter, and I've never seen a softer person. So just visit Tampa, Scotty. Don't move there. It'll change. It'll make you less tough.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. Like, I'm at a point where I don't care anymore. I just don't. I just want to be comfortable.
What do they call everybody down in Tucson? Snowbirds?
Yes.
Is that what they call everybody? You're entering that phase of your life.
Oh, well, I mean, I might as well be a snowbird. I don't know if you heard me tell the story yesterday, but I was at the airport grabbing a $10 energy drink, it seemed like, and the guy there was like, "Would you like the senior discount?" And I'm like,
"Oh, that's
wait,
rough."
What?
Come on.
I'm
I don't.
And then I said, well, I'm like, how old do you think I am? And he said, 62, 63. I'm like, I'm 49, man. I'm not even at the nickel yet. Give me a break.
That's rough.
It hurt, man.
Yeah.
Seriously, look, doing sports radio, and especially in this day and age of social media when people can essentially reach you at any given moment and say whatever they want to you. Like, I'd like to think that I've developed kind of a thick skin because I've been called a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so I can pretty much roll with anything, but for whatever reason, that one got me.
That one stung.
I haven't been able to recover from that one quite yet.
Man. Yeah, I get it. It's like when David James says you don't sound like a Debbie. There are certain things. It's just awkward. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I refuse. I absolutely refuse to even ask obviously pregnant women about their pregnancy because I just the random chance that it's not a pregnant. I just don't want to. I don't want to do it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You know what I'm getting at? It's like, oh, when are you expecting? Ooh. So I won't even mention it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely for the best. That's a smart move on your part. Family good? You ready for the holidays? You got everything locked and loaded? Are you a last minute kind of guy?
Oh, I'm last minute, but my wife isn't. I hate the holidays. It's not my favorite. So I guess we're as ready as we'll ever be.
You're a bah humbug, dude, aren't you?
Oh, I just don't like it.
You are just a ray of sunshine.
Why do you hate the holidays? Why do you hate the holidays?
The stress and the to do, and there's so much to do, and I just don't. I like watching my kids enjoy it, right?
Yeah.
And hey, if we're having a little Christmas dinner, I can dive into that. But the whole holiday hustle and bustle, I don't like Christmas music. I don't like to decorate. I don't like to wrap things.
Why did you look at our tree when you said that?
Because I have to stare right at it for every second I'm in this chair.
Well,
it's not my thing.
That's the one thing about being part of the old Bonneville is they love their Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
So you got to buy into Christmas when you work.
FM 100, Scotty G. I mean, they are the soundtrack of Christmas. Our guy Rusty Keys, Lloyd and I saw him yesterday. That suit he was wearing was off the charts. Full Christmas like suit.
Wow.
Like suit jacket.
Well, he can't wear any Chiefs gear anymore, so he's got to do something.
Oh yeah, notice Rusty doesn't bring up the Chiefs much anymore, does he?
Nope. It's so delightful. I love it. I am a Christmas honk, man. I love Christmas, and I will I will fire as soon as Halloween's over. I might be diving into the Christmas music. That's how quick I get to it. I love it, dude. I'm all about it.
Hard pass.
Yeah. All right, we got a lot to talk to. Jake's hanging out with us for the first segment. Then Danny Ainge is going to join us coming up here at 12:30. We got a locked and loaded show. Even PK will make a drop by at 2:05. So PK gets to grace us with his presence. But let's kick it off. Starting lineup right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is Hans and Scotty G.
Let's go.
The lineup is set, and it's time to kick off the show with the biggest topic of the day. This is the starting lineup on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It is your starting lineup right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, all brought to you by Mountainland Supply, where the pros go for plumbing, landscaping, irrigation, agricultural, HVAC parts, tools. You get it. Find a location near you at mountainland.com. If water runs through it, Mountainland will get it taken care of for you. All right, so when Jake comes by, Jake's got a lot of opinions about a lot of things. So we do kind of a shotgun approach.
All right.
And we're just going to bust through some topics here because the one thing I love, it's the fun part about doing a show with you, and the maddening part of the show with you is that you will die on every hill.
Sure,
every hill you will die on, and I admire the heck out of it. So
appreciate that.
Back when you and I first met, you were anti-playoffs. Back in the old BCS, one thing you've always stuck to your guns about is that you thought the playoffs were a bad idea back then. And I got a sneaking suspicion you're not even coming around on it now.
Oh, I hate everything about it. Yeah. I do. I like the regular season. How much does it, that was always my argument, or one of them, is why would you want to diminish the regular season? Well, we've gone ahead and done that, haven't we?
Yes.
We've got 2 lost teams. We even had a 3-loss team in Texas clamoring that they should be included. Let me ask you, if you have 2 losses, should you even be considered the best team in college football or have a chance for it? Absolutely not. It's created a monster. I mean, the college sports in general, Scotty, is a monster. I don't like the direction of it one bit. I don't like what was announced yesterday at Utah. I don't like it conceptually. I don't like anything about it. And no, I don't think expanding the playoff or even creating the playoff, I don't think it fixed anything. In fact, I think it's just more cats in the wall.
Yeah. And what's their answer to what's going on? Well, let's expand it again. Let's
jam some more cats in there. Yeah. Maybe if we get 12, 13, 14 cats in that wall, then it'll solve the problem. No.
Cats in the wall?
Have you not heard that?
I have heard the story, but now you got to tell it because
it's an Always Sunny in Philadelphia episode where Dee, one of the characters, gets a cat stuck in her wall. She doesn't know how to get it out. Charlie jumps on board to help her, and every solution he comes up with involves putting more cats into the wall until you've got like 13, 14, 15 cats back there, which is so funny. It's such a great example of like the NBA play-in tournament, Scotty. Doesn't solve anything. It just stuffs more and creates more of a problem. Like it's just cats in the wall.
Well, we are stuffing more cats in the wall with this, and the Notre Dame being a throwing their weight around like they are somehow some kind of persecuted David versus Goliath. Nobody likes us. Nobody respects us. We got your ACC apparently did them dirty, and how dare the ACC treat them in such a way? To me, this is almost worth the trouble to see Notre Dame being and moaning like they are right now.
Oh, I let me drink some tears. I'm all about it. Let me ask you this. Our guy Hans, we can both agree that everything just breaks Hans's way. It just does. He's charmed in that manner, and stuff just happens.
Yes.
He just finds golf clubs on the street or something. Like it just always comes up Hans, right?
Yes.
So if at some point, and I'm not talking about significant life things here, but like if at some point it didn't break Hans's way, would you feel bad?
Lloyd, what do you think the odds are that he's streaming us right now where he's at?
No. In fact, I told him to put his access unit away and just go enjoy the day. So he's not listening at all.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it depends on the level of.
Yeah. I'm just talking about like his team doesn't win or something.
Or
or he doesn't get to, I don't know, get some perk. He doesn't get to go on the golf outing or something. Like if it doesn't break Hans's way, you're not feeling bad for 1 second.
He's not invited to go fishing.
Yeah, right. I'm not talking about major stuff. We love our guy. I'm just talking about the benefits of life that seem to come Hans' way. If for some reason Lloyd got to go on the golf outing, are we feeling bad for our guy Hans?
No, I do feel bad for Lloyd because he's probably getting a pelvic broken.
Yeah, right.
If I can't play, nobody's playing.
I don't feel bad for Notre Dame in the slightest. You think you got screwed. Wow. For the first time ever. How about BYU got screwed over by the playoff 2 years in a row, and they can't even get their own conference commissioner to stick up for them? Yeah, I don't feel bad for Notre Dame in the slightest. The Cry Fest has been beyond entertaining, and take your
Rudy and go home.
I'm more than enjoying Notre Dame fans crying. Yes.
All right. So that being said, when you look at the landscape of this college football playoff, does this appeal to you at all? Are you excited? Are there matchups to this that you're fired up to watch?
No. No. I mean, give me the most interesting first-round matchup.
First round, there's nothing to really. I mean, look, I'm going to watch because it's football. Don't get me wrong. Like,
but what kind of argument is that?
Because it's on TV and I will.
No. I'm just saying, like, I'm in the same basket, right? I'm a college football fan. I'm going to watch it, but that's not saying, oh my gosh, I can't wait till this gets here.
James Madison, Oregon, no. Tulane, Ole Miss, certainly no. Miami, Texas A&M, not really. Alabama, Oklahoma is pretty much the only one that.
And guess what? I watched that game earlier this year.
You've already seen it. Yes.
And it's like, even if it breaks, well, here's part of my problem and why, like, I think Brett Yormark should be ashamed of himself. Yeah, that's what I'm calling him now, Bert. Have you ever seen the movie Maverick?
Oh yeah.
With Mel Gibson.
Mel Gibson, yeah,
and Jodie Foster.
It's where you learn how to learn the love of poker from that movie.
Well, Jodie Foster keeps calling him Bert, and it drives him crazy. And he's like, my name is Brett. So anyway, I thought it'd be funny to call him Brett Yormark. Old Bert. Bert is taking shots at Notre Dame. Why isn't he advocating for BYU? He, in fact, in his statements yesterday, he conceded that the playoff made the right decision leaving BYU out. That's freaking crazy, right?
I'm trying to figure out what his end game is there.
Who is he talking to? I don't know.
Exactly. Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Because, all right, you want to take shots at Notre Dame, great. We're all on board with that. We're all on that. But when he drops this line, Jake, I'm with you. Like, I don't understand what he's trying to accomplish here.
I will say this, and I'm a little outspoken about it. I don't like how Notre Dame's reacted to it.
So
okay, I think Pete's his behavior has been egregious. It's been egregious going after Jim Phillips when they saved Notre Dame during COVID. We all knew, and it was very transparent. Hunter was very transparent about it, the chair, that as Notre Dame and Miami got closer together, head-to-head would be a factor. Okay? BYU lost. They became closer together, head-to-head, and made a difference in that decision. So I think he is totally out of bounds in his approach, and if he was in the room, I'd tell him the same thing.
So, all right, tough guy, that's great, but I want that anger at the committee in terms of BYU. Like, BYU has got – look, if you want to talk about two lost teams, two losses came to a team that's got a first-round bye in the college football playoff. So if we're going to let two lost teams in, BYU's right there with everybody.
Well, and let me add this to the quote. There was one more quote. We looked for the audio for this earlier, but we couldn't find it. But here's the quote from Bert. He said, was I happy about BYU?
Yeah.
No, but I think overall they did the right job. Listen, it's progress over perfection, unquote. Ludicrous. Are you kidding? So they don't punish Alabama for losing in the title game, but then they turn around and punish BYU for it?
Yes.
And why isn't he bringing up that, listen, the head-to-head matter for Notre Dame and Miami, but what about BYU and SMU? When it didn't seem to matter all that much next year. Why isn't he blasting them for the moving criteria and all that stuff? He's not doing any of that. He's taking a shot at the Notre Dame AD. What is the point of that? Why is he not advocating for his school? And you know what? He didn't advocate enough for BYU going into this whole process.
No, nope.
And then to come out of it and go, well, I think they got it right by leaving my school out. That's bananas. Are you kidding? What's he doing? And I thought... honestly, Scotty, I thought PR was his superpower.
Same. I thought marketing, promotion, all of that, and we're not seeing any of that.
Nope.
He needs to be acting like the Notre Dame guy about BYU.
Yes, and he's not doing any of that. He's conceding it. He's saying, oh, they did the right thing leaving my team out. Are you serious, Clark? Like, that's money, too. And, Scotty, by the way, how do you think Alabama got the benefit of the doubt this year? It's because the SEC cried so bad last year that they wouldn't even dare do it again.
Nope.
I mean, what's his name? Who's the Slive? No, he's the old one. Who's
Greg Sankey.
Sankey.
Yeah.
Sankey absolutely, well, I'm not going to say that, complained so loudly. And behind the scenes, do you think old Sankey was leaving the Mouse's phone alone? Heck no. He's all over ESPN like white on rice. And now what are they going to do this year? Well, we wouldn't dare leave Alabama out. Of course, the SEC title game doesn't count. Are you kidding? That's post-play. That doesn't matter. Oh, what about BYU? Oh, well, it obviously matters. They lost to Texas Tech in the Big 12 title game.
I mean, come on. We got to knock them down a little
We
bit.
didn't even think about BYU. Why would we?
I mean, look, even if you realize that you didn't get BYU in, you're playing the long game here. And Greg Sankey's always played the long game. It's not about this year. All right, so we got screwed over this year. Okay, so what can we do to make sure this doesn't happen going forward? All right, well, I'm gonna go scorched earth. I loved the old AD for the American Conference at Jim Oresco, or I think that guy,
Mike
Oresco. That guy was always complaining about, hey, we're one of the Power Five, we're a Power Six conference now, and how UCF was a national champion. And look, nobody ever believed anything he said, but boy, he was always trumpeting for his schools, always out in front, always pushing the envelope. And right now, if I'm a BYU fan, I'm looking at Brett Yormark like, bro, what are you doing?
I love it that we're giving Oresco credit for doing his job.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's like, Scotty, you're talking on the radio. Congratulations.
Yeah, good job. Good job. You showed up today. That's a win.
His job. You know what I mean? And it means quite literally money. Another share of the playoff pie. I mean, I have no idea what he's doing and why he did not advocate more for BYU throughout all of this.
Jake, I've got about 4 more things I want to touch base with you, but I got to let you go.
Here, real quick. Give me as many as you can, and I'll one-word answer them.
Okay. Jazz, are they bad enough to be where they need to be?
At the moment, yes. Sorry. Yes.
Okay. Private equity, yes or no?
No.
An emphatic no?
I'm like offended. That's as much as I'm offended by the whole situation. That much of a no.
All right. I'll let you go, man.
You're the best, Scotty G. Thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it.
All right. Sounds good. There he is, Jake Scott, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, Danny Ainge joins us straight ahead right here on the Zone.
Olsen and Scotty G.
That's right. Yeah!
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hans Olsen, Scott Gerard, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Our guy Hans on vacation, but hey, you know what? He's here every week, and we appreciate it. Can't thank him enough. Danny Ainge, kind enough to join us right here on the Zone.
It's time to talk Jazz basketball with the CEO of the Utah Jazz and NBA legend, Danny Ainge. With Hans Olsen and Scotty G on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Danny, kind enough to join us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. How are you?
I'm good, Scotty. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. Holidays are here. Family's good. Life is good. Can't complain. How's everything in your world?
Yeah, no, I wish I could be on a beach in Hawaii right now.
Yeah,
but
I know,
I guess
right?
we have to work.
Hey, I know you got to be careful about talking about individual players at the collegiate level, but BYU, big come-from-behind victory last night in Madison Square Garden. You played in one of the more iconic venues in all of sports in Boston, but did you, as a player, did you appreciate some of those different environments like Madison Square Garden or in Boston or some of these places that have so much history? Did that resonate with you as a player at the time?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Madison Square Garden was always a fun place. Boston was always my favorite place to play, even when I wasn't playing for the Celtics, but Madison Square Garden was very special. There's so much energy in that building.
By the way, speaking of old buildings, I got to ask you a question. Do you know if you guys actually did turn up the heat in that Laker locker room back in the finals in the old building?
That building was so old, we didn't have any air conditioning or heat in that locker room. We spent the entire winter like freezing. Couldn't even have shoot-arounds at that gym. It was so cold. And then in the summertime, there was no escape. But no, we were dripping sweat every bit as bad as the Lakers were.
I love those old series. Hey, I was talking to I've got a 14-year-old son who's all about sports, and he just loves everything about the sports world. And we were watching Inside the NBA, and they were talking about Charles Barkley, the player. And he looks at me, he's like, that guy played basketball? I'm like, that guy was an incredible basketball player. We're now like 2 generations away from people remembering Charles Barkley, the player. You were a teammate with his in Phoenix, a team that, frankly, if John Paxson doesn't hit that 3, I think you guys win that series in 7 games. But when you look at Charles Barkley, the player, just how good was he?
Oh, wow. I mean, Charles was great. I played 3 years with Charles, and my first year I played with him was the year we lost to the Bulls in the NBA Finals. And Barkley was MVP of the league that year. Mm-hmm. That tells you a little bit with the players that were in there, with like Olajuwon and Jordan were in the prime of their careers. Charles was very special. And, he's about 6'5", and he's got long arms and unbelievable bounce and athleticism. But, yeah, Charles was a great, great player. He didn't, I don't know who I would take between Charles and many other power forwards. And there's a lot of guys that play harder every night, that, are more professional in their approach. But, like, in a big game, in a big moment, Charles was as good as anybody.
There's so much attention now on nutrition and training, and it's a year-long. And not to say back in the 80s and 90s that wasn't a priority, but now the science to it is so immense. Do you see the results of that with today's players opposed to the players back when you played?
Yeah, I think nutrition, obviously exercise and training have been part of it forever, but, things have changed, and there's new products and new studies that show, but there are still players that need to pay more attention to it and be more diligent in what they eat and how they train, as there always have been. But I would say that in today's game, it's more common for players to pay close attention to those instructions and that science.
I do the games for Utah State, as you know, and before games, before practices, they have this little device that kind of hooks into the waistband of their shorts, and it tracks how much they're running, how much speed, their output. The amount of science that goes into this thing is just incredible, and they're judging, playing time and practice schedules kind of based off that information and seeing where you guys are at, and it's just the results of that are just enormous, and that's at the Utah State level. I can't imagine what you've got at the Jazz level.
Yeah, so those things have been around for quite a while. I think that there's some players that don't even like the information because I still think there's a lot of conclusions that are drawn. It's one thing to have that information. I ran 3.7 miles today in the course of the game, and the fastest speed I was at was such and such, and my heart rate was this. Okay, but how do you interpret that? If that means, the next game we're only going to play you 27 minutes and you could only run 3 miles, and that's kind of what the game has gone into a little bit, too much. Not everybody does it that way, but I know that there are players that are fearful of that actually happening, and it has happened and does happen where we have some sort of science to say how much a player can do or should do, and that's where the conclusions of some of that evidence that you have is, in my opinion, not conclusive and probably shouldn't be talked about as much as it is.
You drop a game to Oklahoma City, 131-101. Oklahoma City, obviously, they're the defending champs. They're really good. They're a talented roster. But why are they playing as well as they are right now? Because it seems like they've ratcheted up to another level, even above last year.
Yeah, one reason is that they're They're a very, very talented team. And even with some of the guys that didn't play in the game the other night, obviously Shea, who's an MVP candidate, they're deep. And, they've been winning these games without their second-best player in Jalen Williams, and all of a sudden he's back playing now, and so it's not as dramatic to not have Shea not playing. But they're a deep team. They're well-coached. They're young. They're fresh. They got a lot going well for them.
23-1 to start the season. When you saw Shea come out of the draft, going into the draft, did you see this to a certain extent, or has even this surprised you, the level he's reached?
No, it's surprising. I mean, when anybody becomes the top player in the game, I'm not sure you ever see that when they're really, really young. But I did see, I would say 5 years ago, where I thought Shea had a chance to be this good. But I did not see it through the draft process his 1 year at Kentucky.
When it appears the Chris Paul era has come to an end, where do you put Chris Paul in? And I'm not asking you to rank him, but do you put him in the upper echelon of greatest point guards, or is he just outside that group?
I think he's in the group. I think he's a very, very special player. Chris, I remember the first time I saw Chris, I was watching him play a game at Duke in Wake Forest his freshman year, and he didn't have a good game. His shooting numbers were not good. I walked away from that game and go, I got to get that guy. That guy, somehow, some way, I'd love to get him with the Boston Celtics at that time, and we did everything we could to try to get Chris in that draft, and we couldn't find a way. But, I've always thought he was special. He has a special mind for the game. He's got a clutch gene. Unfortunately, his teams haven't won yet, and that's, but there's a lot of great players. They don't have a chance to play with some of the better teams of all time. But, I think it would be hard to actually rank because I think we put a lot into team success, and he did have a lot of team success. He just never won one, and it's not because he wasn't good. That's for sure. He's a great player.
Danny Ainge, kind enough to join us right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Will Hardy is begging and pleading for his guys to continue to play hard. It's a young team. When you talk about a team playing hard, obviously they're crazy talented players, but are some guys just kind of born with that genetic to be able to give that extra gear, or is that something that you can learn throughout the course of your career?
Well, I would say this. I would say that with every player on our team right now, if you just look back at them when they were starting in their first years, second years, which we have quite a few of them, every single one of them, all the way up to Nurkic and Lowry, like those guys are all playing harder. Everybody's playing harder than they did when they were young. So I do think there are some young guys that are just born to play really hard all the time. And usually those guys aren't the best players and aren't the best shooters and all that, but those guys are valuable. But I feel like all our guys are playing harder, but it doesn't mean that you don't revert back. And I still think oftentimes when players aren't playing hard, it's not as simple as just turning on your motor. I think confidence plays a huge, huge role into that. How you're feeling about yourself, how you're feeling about the role, like where you're supposed to be, how much knowledge you have of your opponent. I think experience, all those things enhance how hard someone plays. And so sometimes when guys aren't playing hard, they're not playing hard enough. They're not committed to playing hard. But I think that's more rare than it is. I think that, especially with a young team like ours, I think it just is a little bit of confidence lacking, understanding exactly their role all the time. And I'm not sure that, but you have to find a way. Listen, you've got to prove to your teammates and your coach that you're needed. And I think that's, Will's motivation with this young group is like, no matter what, you have to play hard. Which I think is right. And like I just said, I think that since Will's been coaching this group, I think every single guy of all the young players that we have on that team are playing harder.
When you're on a team, you talk about confidence. When you're on a team that's maybe not ratcheting up the amount of wins that they would hope for, how do you find ways to increase confidence?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Like you said, the BYU game last night in New York City, how do you stop that run? They scored 21 in a row against BYU and took a huge lead, and BYU couldn't make a shot. That wasn't because they weren't trying hard enough. That was because they just didn't have a feel, or collectively they didn't know how to stop the bleeding and, get confidence in making the shots and find ways to get stops. And I think that they found it in the second half, and that happens all the time. And as you see with the Jazz, like we've had, I think we've only had 3 or 4 really bad games where, it was really bad the first quarter and a half, 40-15 or something like that. And I think that that's what I mean. It's not so much they're not trying. It's like it looks like they're not trying because they're not playing with that swagger. And then sometimes the opposite happens is where, players are trying to do it individually. And because they're being selfish, but because they're trying to help the team win. And by being aggressive, they think is the best way. And then turnovers happen, and sometimes it gets worse. But yeah, that's why coaches get paid the big bucks. Well, I'm very, very sympathetic to coaches. There's no simple science where we can put a strap around their waist and tell them what's wrong with their heads.
When you're putting a team together, whether it's draft or free agency, how much do you look at how that individual would fit into a locker room that you currently have in terms of getting along, not being a guy that would cause issues, or, how much of that conversation goes on into how much of a fit would he be culturally with your organization?
Yeah, no, that's a big factor. I'm not sure it's a determining factor, because the reason it's not is there's rarely someone that I've identified in the last years that would be such a disruption that you wouldn't want him. Occasionally there's a guy that's not a fit. He's probably not a fit with most teams. But when you're drafting guys at such a young age, most of the kids are still really good kids.
There's a final question, just this confidence and development of players and what you have and what can be developed. I've asked a lot of football coaches this, but I'm curious about it on the basketball side. Can you learn to be tough, or is that something that, we talk about play hard, but just toughness, mental toughness, physical toughness, can you learn that, or is that something you're born with?
Yeah, so it's both, okay? So I don't think it's that simple. I think that just as I said earlier about the guys playing harder, they do get tougher. They are able to play with more injuries, more pain. They do compete harder against guys that are more physical than them, and they learn to become tougher. But there are some players that are just innately tough, and there's others that have been raised by big brothers and tough environments, and they've had to learn toughness in their young life, and they've learned it before they get there. But I do believe it's something that can be taught. But when you take a look at a guy like John Stockton or Larry Bird or Michael Jordan as examples, like those guys were innately tough. They were always tough. And that's that. If you got guys that are that tough, those are the kind of guys you would like, especially with that much talent.
Danny, I can't thank you enough. I appreciate it, and look forward to catching up with you next week. Great insight as always. I can't tell you how much we enjoy these conversations.
But you don't get to go to Hawaii right now?
No.
Next week?
No.
Yeah.
I was in Tampa last week for a basketball game, and it's not quite Hawaii, but it was a lot better than what we have here, that's for sure.
And how are our Aggies doing so far this year?
You know what? They're 8-1, and they did lose to that team in Florida, South Florida. I think that there's still a lot to be learned about them in terms of toughness, in terms of dealing with adversity. They've got a lot of talent on the team, but it'll be interesting to see when they get in the middle of the Mountain West how they handle adversity, and when people learn how to handle that matchup zone that they run that gives a lot of teams fits if you don't see it regularly. So I don't know. I think we're in a really good place in state. Obviously, BYU's playing really well, and they're loaded with talent. I think Utah State has a chance to be an NCAA tournament team as well.
Oh, great. Well, it'd be fun. I've noticed their record, and I noticed that game in the tournament during the holidays, but I'm anxious to pay a little more attention right now as they get started into conference schedule.
Love it.
It'd be fun.
Well, I appreciate it, Danny. Thanks so much.
All right. Talk to you later, Scott.
You got it. Danny Ainge, CEO of the Utah Jazz, right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Man, every week you learn a little bit more. And I'm not going to lie, selfishly, because I grew up watching basketball in the 80s and 90s as a kid, and that's my era of fandom of the NBA. That's when I fell in love with the sport. So I'm not going to lie, from a selfish standpoint, and I think there's a lot of people of my generation that listen to this show, I am going to take them down memory lane every now and then. And, that's going to happen. So just be prepared for it. But great insight, as always, Danny Ainge. Coming up next, what you may have missed right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.